what we got in store for today. We got a Holley Sniper Efi kit, the 2300 2-barrel. We got high pressure power steering kit. We got a monster. You can't do anything without a monster, you know what I mean? And then we got all the adapters to fit the Sniper Efi. We'll be pulling the carburetor. The first thing we got to do, we got to get these brackets painted up before they go on. Power steering kit's gonna come first, and then Holley Efi. No more stalling out on the trail. Let's get ripping and tearing on this freaking Toyota and let's go. I've always hated this whole setup, all right? This air intake, hate it. The freaking, all these extra freaking, why does Toyota do this? Why does Toyota do that to us, all right? Anyways, reservoir, all the lines, the old pump, belt, all the power steering stuff's coming off. Number one, that power steering pump is smoked because I didn't bleed all the brass shavings from the last power steering pump when we were in Sand Hollow. And just an FYI, a power steering pump, like if you don't take all the brass shavings out, you know, you get about like 4 or 5 days worth of wheeling out of a power steering pump, and then it's smoked. Oh, with the power of editing, all the power steering kit is gone, except for hydro assist lines. A quick way to freaking change the belt on your beater. Bam! We did that because that belt gets replaced with a long one. The next step, we got to get the newish pump out, and we put this bad boy in its place. But produces about 1650 psi and about 4 gallons a minute, so it's gonna be night and day. Here's something else for you guys that have been watching my channel for a while. Make sure you guys are using your trail tools out of your toolbox. That way, when it comes to changing something out on the trail, you know you got that. And if you don't, it'll end up in there. Out with the old bracket and with the new. So not only does the trail gear kit replace this bracket, but it replaces this Y bracket. It goes up around the alternator and coolant line, which if you don't remember, is a freaking pain in the ass to get to the bolt on the bottom. Put the new pump on, took the heat shield off so I can get these bolts to block off this EGR. I kind of pound this flat right here to get the reservoir tank bracket to sit somewhat flat, because I pounded it up to get the shock hoop in. I gotta pound some of this back down to be able to get that reservoir bracket to sit flat. I got the reservoir mounted, all the lines run through here. Gonna use some hose. I don't know how long it'll last, but use some hose right here so the hoses aren't dragging on a sharp edge right there. Now we just gotta get the cooler mounted up right in there and bang. Well, I got all the power steering done, all cleaned up, belts on, ready to go. Now we move on to the carburetor. Pretty much it's gonna take care of this whole nest right here. And delete the EGR, pull those studs out, put block off plates on that. All right guys, now that we got the intake manifold off, so you got a lot of vacuum lines to clean up. The adapter from LCE Engineering, you need to go in here, kind of clean these transitions up just a little bit. Once you get the transition marked, you need to cut it back all the way into this line, all the way around on this side too. Then we'll clean up the intake manifold, put all the block offs in there, and then get it back on the truck. God damn, son, it's a good ass transition. Get a block off plate for your mechanical fuel pump. This comes with the kit. You get like a block off plate kit, and then we can delete all this EGR garbage out of here. Back to work. So yesterday was a pretty long day. I sheared that bolt off right there, going into the tensioner, and then I get this beautifully packed Felpro intake manifold gasket, and bam, not good. Thankfully they had some at AutoZone in town. I just went and picked them up last night, so I'm ready to get started again. It's a brand new day. Hopefully nothing goes wrong today. I pulled all the exhaust studs off for the EGR yesterday and didn't even shear a stud. I was pretty surprised. Okay, so we got the intake manifold back on, got the EGR stuff blocked off back there, adapter plate to the Holley. Block this off, block that off. Coolant temp sensor for the Holley. Block that off, block that off. Put a plug in down here. Block off plate for your fuel, mechanical fuel pump. On the bottom of the intake manifold, you put this plate on, put the 90 supplied by LC Engineering, and hook it back up to your coolant line right there. Brake booster vacuum line hooks up in the factory spot. So we got to run vacuum lines to the vacuum advance on the distributor. So originally there was this bracket right here, kind of a nest, but these two over here went into this whole nest. So I'm just gonna snip them off right in there and then hook up the vacuum lines here. It'll be routed just like it was originally, and it'll end right back in here, and then we'll just connect soft lines from there to the Holley. But it's about that time to slap that Holley EFI on here and start doing some of the wiring. So you do need to snip these off right in here. These are kickdowns for the transmission, like a turbo 350. Damn well sure when you make the connection to the battery, I know it's still kind of ugly, I'll clean it up, but make sure it's connected solely by itself. Do not adapt it into any other connection. They don't like to be starved for power, so running it from a junction box like this is a no-go. This pink wire down here needs to go to 12 volt hot while cranking. It has to stay hot while you're cranking, so put a test meter on it. This plug was something that was plugged into the carburetor on here, so it's always hot. I think it was for like electric choke, so that wire is constantly hot all the time, and you just splice in your pink wire and you're good to go. Well, there she be, running like a freaking top, you know what I mean? It runs better with the Holley Sniper EFI system than it ran with the carburetor. So to all the naysayers out there that say that with the stock carburetor it'll run better than the Holley EFI, I beg to differ. I ordered a 1/2-inch spacer. Hopefully that'll take care of the spacing between the valve cover and that intake. Other than that, that is a Holley EFI system install and a trail gear high pressure power steering pump install. But there is some loose ends I still have to take care of. I just gotta get the display mounted in there. Not that big of a deal. Check all the wiring, make sure it's gonna stay away from anything hot. Make sure everything's zip tied up. Something else that we did during this whole process was front and rear drive lines, and I'll show you guys those and why I went with double carbon front and rear. We've already started to work on the drive lines. Right. When I ordered the front drive line, I kind of messed up. When I measured the flange, I thought it was the same exact thing as the rear, but I was like 1 millimeter off. So now I got a blank coming for the output on the transfer case. I'll drill that out. Let any YouTuber fool you. We all mess up sometimes, you know, is what it is. So I went with the double carbon rear U-joint. You can see my pinion is faced directly at my transfer case. So the angles aren't the same between the pinion and the transfer case, which requires a double carbon U-joint just to kind of take care of any vibration that you're gonna get. Front drive line, Tom Woods as well, double carbon U-joint. For those of you guys that know me for a while, watch me on TikTok, you guys know I always ran the square drive shaft in the front, and that's just because I didn't want to shell out the money when I first built the truck with dual cases to put a drive line in. 600 bucks, right? Figured I could save the money, but then soon realized high speed in the sand, you're gonna end up burning up your pinion bearings and stuff like that just because it's unbalanced. I mean, could you still run it? Obviously.